Hi, this is Lindsey Stansbury with Lifestyles with Lindsey. I am a local real estate agent here in Volusia County, and I work with Exit Real Estate Property Solutions. We've got several office locations. I personally work from my home office most of the time. You can see some excuses of why behind me. It's absolutely gorgeous here. Anyway, I'm hoping that you've seen my video on the top 10 reasons to move to Florida. Those are my personal top 10. Of course, I'd love to hear your feedback on why you either chose to move to Florida or why you're still trying to decide if it's right for you. In this video, what I'd like to share with you are my top 10 things I wish I had known prior to making a move to Florida, because I spent a lot of my life in upstate New York, in Virginia. I lived in Arizona for a year, and there were just some things about Florida that would have been good to know in advance. My number one thing I wish I had known is that winters in Florida are magnificent. They're gorgeous, they're ideal for outdoor activities. There's an endless supply of things you can do, and you don't have to deal with the oppressive heat. What I didn't realize was, coming from the north, that even though I was escaping the long drawn out cold winters of Syracuse, I was entering something that was going to be just as challenging for me to deal with, and that was months and months and months of high heat and high humidity. So what I've learned to do is to get up early in the summer, so that way I'm taking advantage of the coolest part of the day to get my outdoor activities in, and to take my summer vacations someplace cold instead of taking my winter vacations someplace hot. So growing up, my family would say we're going to South Carolina or we're going to Florida in July, because that's when our school break was. And we would have a little bit of heat, but then we go back to the cooler temperatures. Now that I'm living in Florida, my family and I will go to the northern states and go hiking, camping, exploring, or we'll even go up to Canada. Whistler is a great destination. If you prefer international travel, of course, there's no end to all the opportunities you could have of how to take a little break from the summer heat and humidity here in Florida and give yourself a beautiful vacation. The second thing I'd wish I'd understood better when I moved to Florida was that I love nature, I love the outdoors, but so do biting insects, and I do not love them as much as they love me. So in order to cope with that, what I've learned to do is forego some of the really cute outfits I could wear when I go on excursions, and put on a long sleeve and long pants, sun protective gear, wear sun hats, and go ahead and spray the bug spray on the clothes, so that way I'm not spraying it directly to my skin. And also what I've learned is, like, the biting gnats and the mosquitoes and the biting flies, they love the shade. So if you get up early and go out and do the things you want to do, you're less likely to encounter all those insects that are aggravating. Also, if you go to the coast where there's more breeze rather than doing things inland, then a lot of the bugs don't like the high winds, they don't like the breeze. Even 10 miles per hour is enough to keep them away sometimes. So if you just kind of accommodate and adapt a little bit, then you can enjoy the outdoors as much as I do. But you do have to sometimes make a few compromises that you might not have expected needing to do. So if you know anything about me, if you've watched any of my videos, then you know that I have most of my life had some kind of rolling hills or mountains, rivers, streams, creeks, things like that in my life. When you move to Florida, there are so many beautiful views, but it is realistic to expect that you may miss having mountain views, having mountains to go explore and hike. The nature in Florida is not the same as up north. You can't just go wandering into a mangrove swamp. You can't go wandering into a palmetto forest. It just doesn't accommodate the type of wanderings and free exploration that you do in the northern states. You also have to be more cautious of things like alligators. I have learned to treat all water as if it may have an alligator in it, because they are not going to announce their presence. So you do have to be careful and cautious and protect your small animals, protect your family and yourself. Alligators are part of Florida life. There's also predatory birds that if you have a small pet, you're going to have to want to make sure you're supervising it when it's out in your yard, because a bald eagle can easily carry away your Pomeranian or your little pet rabbit or whatever. Some other Florida wildlife I've had to learn about was snakes and spiders. They are here. They're not going anywhere, but Florida has great ways to deal with things. Snakes, even when I've encountered venomous snakes that I know as a fact are venomous, you can call a serpentarium and they'll come get it for you, so that way you don't have to get right up close and personal trying to identify it for yourself and put yourself at risk. Something else is budgeting. When I lived on my own, I really was good at budgeting. I did the envelope system. I really kept track of things. But since moving to Florida, I've gotten married. I have a child. I have another child on the way. And so I have to pay more attention to things than I used to. Even though I earn more now than I did in the past, I also find it a lot easier to, whoops, where did the money go? Florida has so much to do. There's all the attractions, there's great restaurants, you have chain restaurants, you have mom and pops that you'll never find anywhere else. You've got so much that you can spend your money on, and it's easy if you're not being careful for it just to, a little outing turns into a big expense if you're not paying close attention. So no matter what your budget is, make sure that you're prepared, that whatever your outings are, you know what you are willing and unwilling to spend, so that way you can pick things accordingly and you have no regrets when you come home. In the last video I made, and I'll make sure to link that to this video so it's easy for you to view, I mentioned how Florida infrastructure is fantastic. There's always an easy way to get where you want to go. There's always a scenic route to go where you want to go. What I didn't dig into is that sometimes the roadways seem like they are always under construction. They seem like they always have an accident. I-4 is notorious for this. I used to live in College Park, which is downtown Orlando. Very easy access to I-4, which is amazing and wonderful when the roads are clear and flowing nicely and you want to go somewhere, because it cuts your drive time down. However, since living there, they started the I-4 Ultimate project, which meant the road was constantly under construction. And it seems like people got more tense, more frustrated, and from my experience on my way to work, I was encountering more accidents just between me leaving my house and getting 15 minutes up the road. So I-4, sometimes it's better just to avoid it. It can bring down your stress level, just not having to deal with the construction and the traffic. But you can always check Google and see. I mean, Google Maps tells you, and so do the other apps, whether there's an accident, whether there's construction, so you can really plan your driving around that. Florida also has toll roads, which sometimes, if you're not used to that, can be annoying to have to pay to use a road. However, they flow very nicely and they can get you where you want to go with no difficulty. The other thing is there's just so many options. So you really can, they take care of the roads here, they keep them pretty, and you do have options of what you want to take in order to get where you're going. So just make sure you plan your routes before you leave home. Oh, it's something else. This has actually come from other people. They tell me they get really excited because Florida has no state income tax. One of the things you want to make sure you keep in mind, though, is that Florida still is part of the United States. We still have federal income tax. So even though you're saving on your taxes each year in that you don't have to pay Florida state income tax, make sure that you still set aside the money to pay your federal income tax, because that is going to come and you will be obligated to pay that. The IRS is going to get its piece. So just make sure you keep that in mind. We do have seasons. They're not the same as what we have up north. You don't have the summer, winter, spring, fall, traditional, easy to distinguish seasons. However, we do have a rainy season, we do have the hurricane season, and we do have a winter, which really I would call an extended autumn. During the rainy season, it gets a little frustrating if you ever just bring extra umbrellas everywhere you go, because it will rain every day, at least for an hour. So disregard what the weather forecast says and just plan for a little bit of rain every day during the rainy season. hurricanes, they were a little intimidating in the beginning, but so far we just take precautions. We know the weather forecast is going to be maybe right and very likely inaccurate. So we make sure that during the hurricane season, we do have canned food, we have dried food, we have water that we've filtered and we have set aside in big jugs, so that way if we lose electricity, if any kind of emergency, we have some supplies. So far we have not had the need to evacuate. However, that is up to your personal decision, depending on whether you're living in a block house, a frame house, a mobile home, a single wide, whether you're just going to be miserable if you stick around and the weather forecast says a hurricane's coming. Do what's best for you. Even if you decide to evacuate, make sure you're one of the first people. Don't wait till the tail end and then decide to leave, because then the roadways are congested. And make sure you have a full gas tank, and if you're able to, on the outside of your vehicle, bring extra gas tanks that you can refill with. That's always a good idea as well. And make sure you bring some food. This also comes from other people. Friends and family love to visit once they realize you have a home in Florida. Florida is the home to Disney, Universal, Busch Gardens, SeaWorld. There's just so much to do on our beautiful coastline. Everyone wants to come visit at least once a year. Just gotta make sure you draw your boundaries, because they aren't going to want to leave. And at some point you might want your personal space back. You may have to get back to work and other obligations, or just things you like to do. But yeah, I love getting my visitors, but you do want to make sure that you're expressing a nice agreed upon length of stay that makes everybody happy. Allergy sufferers. So this is one that definitely relates to me. My husband doesn't have allergies, so he doesn't understand what it's like. But most of the year, I feel like Florida is very great for people who have allergies, because you do have the coast that's always nearby. So if you're having a problem with your allergies, you can just go take a day at the beach and you come back feeling completely revived. Now, there are a few months during the year that are just full of pollen. So if you have oak allergies or pine allergies, there are a few months that you're going to want to keep an eye on either the weather forecast, because they tell about pollen count, or just take a look outside, because you will see the pollen accumulating on your vehicle every single day, even if you wash it every single day. So there's certain times of the year that you may want to just pull out some air purifiers that have the HEPA filters, turn them on, keep the windows and doors closed as much as possible, and stay indoors as much as possible. Once the pollen's gone, it seems like it's gone. For me, moving from inland Florida to the coast has made a world of difference, because even during the high pollen count days and seasons, the salty air, the coastal air, just keeps me feeling great. So hopefully it will for you as well. Okay, and then the last thing I had was my top 10 was that I love nature, and if you're the same as me, then you may find yourself missing the ability to just jump in a river or a lake or whatever natural body of water there is without having to worry about alligators, snakes, amoeba. Just go ahead and Google that one. I'm not even gonna dive into it. Didn't know it existed until I moved down here. But you do have different precautions you need to take here that you don't have to up north. So that's one of those things that it's always a great excuse to go back up north, visit your home, family, and friends, and then you love Florida again when you come back. So I hope this helps get you a little bit more prepared for when you come down here. And I'd love for you to comment below. Let me know what you think, if you agree or disagree. If you've got other experiences you'd like to share with our followers here, then we'd love to hear from you. Once again, I am a realtor with Exit Real Estate Property Solutions. So if you have any real estate needs, I'd love to assist you with those, and I can be reached by call or text at 407-579-6453.